What's up, everybody?
All right, there we go. Cast. That's Mitch. I'm Jacob. We're here for our week 4 college football picks. So, as we always start, we'll start with everybody's favorite segment, cheapest tickets. I wish I lived in Syracuse because you can go to the JMA Wireless Dome for as low as $9. I would definitely be going to that game. You can also see Miami only $7 at home against Tennessee. Nobody wants to watch them kick 3 field goals again. You got some $5 ones, $6 ones, like you go to Tulane, Northwestern. Obviously, Ryan Field's always the cheapest. But the absolute cheapest is Liberty Flames at home against Akron. Go figure. At $3. I thought that was $1. No, that's $81. You could also go to Georgia State versus Coastal Carolina for $3. So
That's not a terrible game there.
No, that's actually a pretty fun game. Or you could watch Chattanooga get their revenge for the NCAA tournament at Illinois for as much as $4. All right, so let's jump into our shockers of the week. I think either Mitch or Calvin went first last week, but I get to go first this week. And I will be taking Texas Tech 6.5 point favorite, or 6.5 point underdogs at home versus Texas. Do I think Texas is the better team? Yes. Is it a 6.5 point line for a road conference game? Yes. Is Texas Tech decent on offense? Yes. Is Quinn Ewers playing? No. So I'll take Texas Tech. It might be a long shot, but I'll take Texas Tech at this one. And Cal, you let me down. You really let me down. That would have been amazing, but I'll take Texas Tech.
All right. Yeah, I thought Western Michigan played it close with Pitt for a good while and then fell apart in the fourth. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. That would have been a nice 11-pointer there, but that didn't go according to plan. So I'm hoping that this one's a safe pick. Should be. I'm taking Rutgers at home against the Iowa Hawkeyes. Multiple reasons to go with this game. First of all, Iowa sucks on the road, and they just don't win road games. They look terrible on the road, and plus their offense has been inept, and they're still starting Spencer Petras. So, and considering this is their first road game, I mean they are coming off a 27-pointer, which is double what they've had all season. In Iowa's last game, beating Nevada 27-0. In the middle, there was a lightning delay. But this is an Iowa team that really lacks offense. It's gonna be, I mean, this is gonna be a low-scoring game, but I think in a low-scoring game that Rutgers can definitely that Rutgers can get a win, especially at home. Be a nice 4-0.
Same team to beat Temple 16-14. So
should be an interesting home game. But I like Rutgers at home here to pull an upset.
All right, do you have either of the other shockers? If not, we'll just release them on the template later.
I do not. I have not seen anything yet.
Look on the Instagram for the other 2 shockers. Anyway, and it was a busy week for me, so sorry I didn't get those picks out on Instagram, but we'll be getting those this week. Anyway, let's move on to our actual picks for the week. We are starting off with the South Florida Bulls on the road taking on the Louisville Cardinals. Louisville is an 88.4% chance to win. The spread is 14 points. The over-under is 64. I'll start with you this time. Mitch, who you got?
I don't like Louisville's team. They have looked terrible all season long. Really, they are 1-2, but I really consider their one win as a loss by UCF and not a win for Louisville. But it's a win nonetheless for the Cardinals. I don't like their team. I actually could see this going either way, but I'm just gonna stay with the safe pick. I'm gonna take Louisville. You know that Calvin's gonna take USF. I'll let him go with USF. I'll take Louisville. I'll be safe here.
Fair enough. I will also be on the safe side. I do pick South Florida to cover though. 14 points is a lot of points for a team that has not proven anything to me. I take them to cover, but I do take the Cardinals to win that one. All right. Let's move on to our next game. We've got Jacob's shocker, my shocker. The 22nd ranked Texas Longhorns on the road taking on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Texas is an 80.5% chance to win. The spread is 6.5 points. The over-under is 60. I will start this one I do actually on my spreadsheets have Texas Tech winning this one, 34-30. As far as the picks go, I think it's toss up. I do think it's toss up, but after seeing what they played last week against Hudson Card played last week against UTSA, I think I'll take Texas. I think I will take Texas. They're definitely the better team. I think as far as my actual picks that we're counting statistically, I will take Texas. I do think Texas Tech can cover that spread. And I do think Texas Tech can very easily win that game. But I will take Texas as far as the pick goes.
All right, first road game for the Longhorns all year. Texas Tech has definitely, I'd say, exceeded expectations. Getting a win against Houston in overtime, and honestly, playing a closer game with NC State. This Texas Tech team has definitely looked a lot better than I would have imagined, but the Longhorns look competent with Hudson Card, and like you said, they're the better team. I do think this is a sneaky game, but I think Texas will win this one.
Exactly. And now we move on to the Big House, where it's going to be the first non-scrimmage game Michigan plays. The Maryland Terrapins come to the Big House to take on the fourth-ranked Michigan Wolverines, as they still have not played a road game. They start their road game stretch the next weeks. But Michigan is an 84.7% chance to win. They're a 16.5-point favorite. The over-under is 64.5. Mitch, where do you go with this one? Oh, I think I
know. Maryland looked really good. Has honestly looked. I mean, that SMU game was a big challenge for the Terps. I mean, that was a huge one for them, and they got it. They were able to knock off SMU, proving that they're a legitimate team. And yeah, this is definitely Michigan's obviously biggest challenge all season.
thus far.
Yeah, so far, and there'll be another big one for them obviously next week as they head to Iowa City, which is even bigger yet. So the Wolverines, I am obviously taking Michigan in this one. Maryland is a poor man's version of Ohio State. They don't have nearly as good of offense, and their defense is just as incredibly bad. So I am going to take the Wolverines. I don't think this will be blowouts like they've had all season long. I think Maryland's going to put up a bit more in the fight than someone like UConn or Hawaii has, or Colorado State. But I think this will still be a Michigan win, and I think they'll at least cover a 17-point spread.
I think it's actually down to a 16.5-point spread now. It used to be a 17.5.
Well, either way, they'll still cover.
It's only 16 now. Yeah, I think they'll cover. I have them winning 38-17. I think Tully is a great quarterback, but he is very prone in big games to make big mistakes. I do think this Michigan defense is good enough to make some big mistakes, set up their offense in pretty good positions, and I think Michigan gets up pretty quickly and pretty early and just kind of coasts the rest of the way. Again, I don't think they're going to score anything like 59 points, but I think they'll win this one pretty handily. And then you've got two big road tests at Iowa and at Indiana. Two not great teams, but two teams that are very notorious for upsetting a big team at home. Bloomington and Iowa City are terrifying for ranked teams.
Iowa City specifically.
Iowa City specifically. I still remember the one game where we had to go into double overtime to barely edge out Indiana. That was a game. Or going to Iowa and losing.
Yeah.
We would have been the number one team in the country if we would have won that game. Because that was the game where 1, 2, 3, and 4 all lost in the same weekend.
2, 3, 4. I think number one still won.
Oh no, we were 3. We would have been number 2 in the country. That's right.
Yeah, it was Clemson, USC, and Michigan that all lost in the same week.
Chris blew it. The kicker blew it. Did not indeed blow it. And now we move on to the Kansas State Wildcats on the road against the Oklahoma Sooners. I think ESPN mixed up their backgrounds because Kansas State has a cream-colored background and Oklahoma has a gray.
What?
Kansas State's gray, Oklahoma's cream. Okay, you know what? Whatever. Oklahoma is an 84.3% chance to win. Oklahoma is a 13-point favorite. Over-under is 53. That is not enough daggone points for Oklahoma. I'm sorry. After watching Kansas State last week and after watching Oklahoma last week, Oklahoma is going to wipe the floor with this Kansas State team. This will be a blowout in insane fashion. I don't even know what do I have the game as? I have it as 38-13, Oklahoma, and they might even put up more points than that. They'll probably sleepwalk to 30 points. But yeah, give me Oklahoma pretty confidently in this one.
Yeah, the Sooners really, with all, of course, the upheaval from last season, honestly have still looked incredibly good. Dylan Gabriel has come in and has obviously done really well with the offense. Of course, you have Jeff Lebby from Ole Miss coming in this season. Sooners have looked really good. That's gonna make Oklahoma fans mad. Oklahoma has looked really good so far. And has really been impressive. Kansas State's coming off a disappointment against Tulane. I'm taking Oklahoma. It is an 8 o'clock Fox game, but I think this is probably Oklahoma's. Yeah, has Oklahoma even played anyone all year? But Oklahoma, good team. Definitely a big game here for them coming at home against a average opponent and a Big 12 team. So I think Oklahoma wins pretty easy.
Yeah. And now we move on to the Pac-12, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The newly 18th ranked Washington Huskies taking on the Stanford Cardinal. Washington has an 82% chance to win. The spread is 14, and the over/under is 63. Mitch, who you got in this one?
Definitely an interesting one with Washington coming off its enormous win last week against Michigan State. Stanford, uh, okay team. I definitely could see like some hangover for the Huskies coming into this game, which is why I think it'll be a little bit closer. But I still think Washington gets the win and they knock off the Cardinal at home.
Yeah. I think this Washington team is pretty good. Yeah, I think they'll take. I think Stanford has shown that they can put up some points. I think Stanford has shown they can put up some points and they can make it interesting. But do I think they're actually going to be able to beat Washington? Not really. Not really. All right, now we go to another game where offense is absolutely optional. We are going to Mitch's Shocker. We are going to SHI Stadium, where the Rutgers Scarlet Knights will be playing the Iowa Hawkeyes. Iowa's a 56.7% chance to win. The spread is 7.5 points for Iowa, and the over/under is a large 34.5. Ooh, that might be the lowest over/under we've had, and I still think they're going under. I have Iowa winning this game 17-13, and that's generous. I think Rutgers could very easily win this game, but this is two teams where their offenses suck. But I think Iowa's offense is just slightly better than Rutgers, and Iowa's defense is a lot better than Rutgers. I would not be shocked if Rutgers honestly got shut out. I don't care if it's in Rutgers. It's just that Iowa defense is way better than that Rutgers offense. But give me the Hawkeyes and give me the under. Give me the under.
Yeah, this Iowa team, obviously the offense is very lackluster, but defense has looked pretty good. I am actually sticking with my shocker pick on this one, and I am taking Rutgers to get the win at home. I don't like this Iowa team. They don't. Their next game is gonna be a huge one for them. Is going to be, where they really plant their stake is where they have Michigan at home. It's gonna be a Big Ten championship rematch. So I think their eyes are gonna be first of all set on that. First of all, set on next week. Second of all, they don't play well on the road and their offense is just brutal. So I think this will be a really low scoring game, but give me Rutgers in a close one. And yes, you all know who's
Friday
coming
night,
next.
baby. Syracuse still in the dome, taking on Virginia Cavaliers, who have looked terrible. And oh man, I'm so mad at picking them in my fantasy draft. Anyway, Syracuse is an 85.8% chance to win. They are now 11-point favorites. The over/under is 53. Give me the orange. I think Virginia probably will cover, just solely because I think these are two teams that are pretty much play the same game. do the same thing. So I think it could be close. But I do think the Syracuse offense. I've heard someone on one of my podcasts listen to say the Syracuse offense is the Virginia offense of last year. That's like really fun offense. And then Syracuse's defense is really, really good. That front seven is good. Secondary's decent. Obviously, I think the secondary gave up so many big yards at the end of the Purdue game because they were so freaking tired because their offense could do anything that game. But I do think Syracuse gets a win pretty comfortably, which I think will move them to 4-0 and then probably 5-0 going into the bye because I don't think they lose to Wagner. I foresee a good season.
Yeah. Syracuse at home against the Cavaliers. Very interesting game here. Brenton Armstrong, obviously, very good quarterback. Garrett Schrader's looked really good, though, for Syracuse. I think this is going to be a good game. Syracuse's secondary got kind of devastated by Purdue in that game, yet they still won because of penalties. I don't think Virginia. I don't think Virginia is going to give away the game to Syracuse with penalties. However, I still have the Orange winning this one, a close one. It's a home game for them. This Virginia team also got essentially shut down by an Illinois defense. I think Syracuse's defense is probably just as good as Illinois'. So I will take the Orange in a close game here.
Fair enough. Rivalry game. I think it was the Battle for the Black Diamond Trophy, if I'm not mistaken.
Not sure.
I think it's the Black Diamond Trophy. I don't remember though. But we move on. West Virginia Mountaineers taking on the Virginia Tech Hokies. West Virginia has a 63% chance to win. The spread is a 2-point favorite in favor of West Virginia. The over/under is 52. Mitch, who do you have?
Really hard to say because West Virginia made it close in the first week in another big rivalry, playing in the backyard brawl against the Pitt Panthers. Came up short in that one, and then they got stunned by Kansas. But apparently, Kansas is a good team for whatever reason. We're gonna do their game next, which is hilarious. But this West Virginia team is definitely interesting. Virginia Tech's team, they did lose the Old Dominion, which is not good. I don't really know who to pick here. This is a complete 50-50, one of those big rivalry games where it seems either team can win. I am going to give a slight edge, though, to Virginia Tech in this one. The Hokies, Blacksburg is a very difficult place to play. Blacksburg is very tough. A lot of teams have gone to. It's very hard to play in Blacksburg. Many teams have had a problem in Virginia Tech. West Virginia got the win last year, knocking off the Hokies at home. I think Virginia Tech gets revenge this year and wins a close one in Blacksburg.
Fair enough, and it is the Black Diamond Trophy. I just checked. I will actually go the opposite. I will take the road team. I'll take West Virginia. I think they are a better team. After seeing Kansas, I don't hold that Kansas loss as high of regard, as bad as it is. I think West Virginia is a better team. I think it's a close game. I think it's a rivalry game. I think it's a very tight game, but I think West Virginia pulls away late to win 34-27. And now we move on to what I didn't think was going to be a big game to start the season, but here we are. We've got the 3-0 Duke Blue Devils versus the 3-0 Kansas Jayhawks. What are we playing, basketball? Kansas has a 72.7% chance to win. Kansas is favored by 7.5 points. I think this is the first time they've been favored against a non-conference opponent since 2009. I think that was the stat I heard. They're not favored against non-conference Power 5 opponents very often. Their over-under is 66.5. I will start first. I think Kansas wins this one pretty comfortably. I think it might be a good game for the first 2-3 quarters. I think Jalen Daniels pulls away Kansas in late. I think Kansas is a better team. I think Duke's a decent team. I still am not super impressed by Duke. I was more impressed by Duke until Northwestern went and lost to Southern Illinois. A little less impressed by that now. Southern Illinois can do that. Anybody can do that. Except for Nebraska, apparently. Nebraska could go into Northwestern and win. They would. So yeah, give me Kansas in this one. But I think it'll be a fun game, especially for both teams who are not used to caring about their football teams.
Yes, the two basketball schools at 3-0 to start the year, with Duke getting a nice win on the road against Northwestern, and Kansas getting two huge wins on the road against West Virginia and Houston. In terms of like which team has played better teams, I'd say Kansas certainly has, and has looked better so far since they've played better teams. I think this is going to be a 50-50. Either one of these teams can win this one. It's going to be really close. However, I am going to take a very close win for the Kansas Jayhawks. They go 4-0. Don't even remember when the last time it was. They were 4-0. I
think it was 2009. They haven't gone 3-0
since 2009.
They haven't won 3 games since 2000.
And Duke hasn't won 3 games since 2018.
Oh yeah, that was the year they had Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
AKA Clumsy Kirk Cousins. Have you seen that video going around?
I have not.
It's just saying the NFL's a bunch of Kirk Cousins, and it's like he's clumsy Kirk Cousins. Jimmy Garoppolo is handsome Kirk Cousins. Matt Ryan is old Kirk Cousins. It's hilarious. It's the funniest video. I'll have to find it and send it to you. Anyway, we now move back to the Pac-12, where the 15th ranked Oregon Ducks will go on the road to take the Washington State Cougars. Oregon is a 72.4% chance to win. The spread is 6.5. Mitch, who do you got in this one?
Oregon coming off that huge statement win last week up against BYU back at home, jumping 10 spots in the rankings up to 15. I like this Oregon team. Good at running the football. Do they still have CJ Verdell? I think they do. They? I don't remember if they have still Verdell, but obviously they're
the leading rusher.
Obviously, Oregon's linebacking room is really good with Justin Flo and Noah Sewell. I like this Oregon team. I like them in a close one. I like them in a. Well, I say Oregon wins this one. It'll be a close one. I think against Washington State. It is a road game. Oregon's kind of like one of those teams that just doesn't like playing on the road. They have problems going away from the Autzen Zoo. But I'll give Oregon a close one in what was it, Pullman, Washington?
I think so. Martin Stadium. I don't know where that is, but I think it's Pullman. Yeah, Washington State will muck this game up. We'll make it very slow paced. We'll make it close. Gosh, I don't want to pick this one. I don't want to pick this one. I'll take Oregon. I'll take the favorite. I'll take the favorite in a slight edge, but this is one of those games I'm not very confident in. And how is this game ranked under this next game? This next game. Okay, never mind. And then we've got the next game we're going to is the game I am actually going to be present at. I might not be in the stadium. I might just stay out at the tailgate. But we've got the 13th ranked Utah Utes going on the road to take on the Arizona State Sun Devils. Utah is an 83.4% chance to win. They are 14.5-point favorites. Utah is going to come in and wipe the floor with this Sun Devils team. I don't think the Sun Devils team is that good. Emory Jones has played decent. Their running game is pretty good, but I think this Utah team is much better. I'm not a big Utah. I'm a decently big Utah guy. I think Cam Rising's pretty good. I haven't seen as much from them these past couple weeks, but I do think Utah comes into Tempe and kicks the crap out of it. I will be there though. I don't know if I'm going to buy tickets to go into the stadium, because you can basically buy tickets to go for the top section and then walk down to the front row and get front row seats. They don't even check your tickets there. So, but I'll be tailgating out there. But it'll be fun. I think Utah wins this one pretty handily.
Yeah, this is a Arizona State team. They looked decent at the beginning of the year. They made it close against Oklahoma State, which made me think, hey, maybe they're a decent team. And then they then they lost at home to Eastern Michigan, which is obviously not a good look. But now Herm Edwards is out the window. Arizona State now under, of course. We'll be getting a new head coach soon, but with all the different issues within the Sun Devil program, I think Utah will come in and win a and win. I don't think it'll be necessarily a blowout, but it's not necessarily going to be like a 7 point win. I think Utah wins. I like 14. I'd say.
Who's
I don't know. It was
end of list? Colorado and Stanford, they should win if it was at home, but they're both on the road. They got to go on the road to play Arizona. Arizona's probably going to kick the crap out of them. I never thought it's. Actually, I can't say that. At the beginning of the season, everybody called me crazy, but I picked Arizona to win that game. I think they should be the favorites now. Anyway, we're moving on to the next game. My Arizona State rant is over, as after this recording, I am actually going to the campus, so that'll be fun. We stay in the Pac-12 for our third straight Pac-12 game. This will be a fun one. The number 7 USC Trojans going to Corvallis to take on the 3-0 Oregon State Beavers. USC has a 69% chance to win. The spread is 6.5 points. The over-under is 71. There will be a lot of points scored. USC's obviously scored a lot of points. They haven't really played too many great teams. Whereas Oregon State started against two pretty good teams with Boise State and on the road against Fresno, getting big wins. This should be a fun game. I do favor USC in this one, like 30. I think I have it at like 38-34 or like 38-30. But Oregon State could make it fun in Corvallis against this USC Trojan team, and could be a threat. But I do have USC winning.
Yeah, all of you guys know how high I am on the USC squad. I love this Trojan team. It's very good. This is going to be a tough game for them, though. They're coming off a nice win against a solid Fresno State team, of which Oregon State has beaten too. They went on the road to play Fresno State, and the Beavers came up with a win on the last second. Big win for them at Fresno State. USC. They more or less handled Fresno. Of course, Jake Hayner got hurt in that game as well, so that also helped here. That also helped USC. But this Trojan team is very good offensively, and this is going to be a shootout. I think USC and Oregon State are probably going to put up an enormous amount of points, but I think the Trojans will get the win on the road at Oregon State, which their stadium right now is really weird because they're having like a renovation of the one side of the field or one side like the stands, and so everyone's like on the one side and then like the different end zones, and then there's this entire side of the field that just nobody is sitting in because they're like currently building it. It's funny.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. All right, on to the Notre Dame Fighting Irish going on the road to the North Carolina Tar Heels at Kenan Stadium. Notre Dame has a 53.5% chance to win. This is why I don't trust FPI. North Carolina is a 2-point favorite on the spread. The over-under is 56. I have North Carolina 31-17. I think that Notre Dame defense is great. I really like Drake May. I think he's a great quarterback. He's played awesome. They have been dropping points left and right. I think they're a pretty good team. I think it could be maybe 24-17, 27-17. I just don't think Notre Dame scores enough points to be able to beat North Carolina on the road. And obviously, Notre Dame beat them last year, so I think North Carolina comes in and gets their revenge game this year, beating them 31-17.
Yeah, big home game for the Tar Heels here. Currently 3-0 with the enormous amount of points that they have scored. Obviously, North Carolina has no defense. Their defense is terrible. Their offense is really good. So I think this is going to be a close game because Notre Dame obviously doesn't have the greatest defense in the world, they don't have a great offense, but their defense is pretty solid looking. North Carolina is the opposite. I think this will be close. I think North Carolina is going to have a hard time stopping Michael Mayer, which is, of course, Notre Dame's outstanding tight end. I think it'll be an interesting one in North Carolina at Chapel Hill. But since it is a road game, I am going to take the Tar Heels in a very close game. I think this could easily be won by Notre Dame, but I'm giving North Carolina a very slight edge.
Michael Myers can give them trouble if Drew Pine can give Michael Myers the football. He can actually throw it to him.
Right.
Anyway, move on back to the Big 12, where the 17th ranked Baylor Bears will have a nice road test on the road against the Iowa State Cyclones. Baylor is a 52.8% chance to win. Iowa State is a 3-point favorite in the spread. The over-under is 46. Who do you got, Mitch, in this one?
This is going to be a fun one. This Baylor team is the defending Big 12 champions, and their first game is over in Ames, Iowa, against the Cyclones. So I think this is a big one for both teams. Iowa State off to a 3-0 start. Baylor only lost to BYU. This is going to surprise probably some people. I'm taking Iowa State. I'm giving the
I can
Cyclone.
see it.
I'm giving the Cyclones the upset here. This Baylor team, I mean, it looks solid, but their special teams looks absolutely terrible. They were bad in that BYU game trying to kick, and I mean they're coming off a good win against Texas State, but it's Texas State. Iowa State, this is a team that exactly like Iowa is known for pulling off upsets at home. I think this is a close game, and it could very easily be won by Baylor. But I am going to take a risk here and go with the Cyclones in an upset.
I mean, technically, you're picking the favorite.
Oh,
So,
really?
technically, they're 3-point favorites.
Oh my gosh.
I'll take Baylor in a close. This could go either way. I have Baylor on my sheets winning 28-23. But I think it's going to be a very close game and one of the most fun games of the weekend. I think it'll be very close. I think it'll be a fun one, but I think the most, even if it's not the best game of the weekend, I think the most fun game to watch is going to be this next one, the rematch for the Battle of the Iron Skillet. You have TCU head coach and former SMU head coach Sonny Dykes going SMU with his new team. And those fans are going to be loud.
Oh yeah.
They're going to be loud. They're going to be raucous. SMU won at TCU last year. It is going to be a crazy fun game. I am so excited for this. SMU is a 51.7% chance to win, but TCU is a 2-point favorite. A lot of points predicted as the spread is set at 70 and a half, or the over-under is set at 70 and a half. I don't think it's hitting that. But I do have SMU coming out of this one with a narrow win, 34-31. I think that crowd is going to be loud and is going to be insane, and that SMU team is going to be fired up against their old coach. And they're going to come out here and get the rivalry win and keep that iron skillet.
Yeah, one of the unique rivalries with it being with the winner gain an iron skillet. Like, who came up with that? But this is gonna be an interesting one. Obviously, big rivalry. Really interesting one with these two teams. Like you said, of course, now new TCU head coach, the former head coach for SMU. SMU now has, I think it was Miami, Florida's former offensive coordinator. So SMU, I mean, these are two really good teams. I think it's going to be a very close one, but I am going with Serbinsky. I am taking SMU to just barely knock off TCU. I was impressed at the beginning of the year when TCU blew out Colorado on the road, and I saw Minnesota wipe out Colorado too, and I'm like, yeah, they're not good.
Yeah. Speaking of Minnesota,
I'm going with SMU.
Oh man, this is a hard one to pick. This is a really hard one to pick. You got the Minnesota Golden Gophers opening Big Ten play on the road against the Michigan State Spartans. Michigan State is a 60.8% chance to win. Minnesota, following the trend of going against the FPI, Minnesota is a 2.5-point favorite. The over-under is 51. I think that's really low considering if Michigan State's going to win this game, which I do think they have a pretty good shot at it, they're going to have to score a lot of points because that Minnesota team is going to score a lot of points on that Michigan State secondary. Now that their weakness has been made known, that it's still a weakness, oh my gosh, PJ Fleck is going to use Tanner Morgan to absolutely attack that secondary. I think this is a very close game. I think this is going to be a very fun game. If Michigan State didn't lose and get embarrassed the last week, I think I would pick Minnesota. But the fact that Michigan State got embarrassed last week on national television in prime time, I think they're going to come out in this game with a fire in them, and I think they win 33-30. I think it's going to be a very, very close game. but I would not be surprised to see Minnesota take this just because of Michigan State's glaring defensive weakness. But I do think Michigan State's fired up enough to take this win.
Yeah, this is gonna be very fun to see. Weirdly enough, it's not even on like ESPN or ABC. It's on the Big Ten Network. So, but really, really good game here. Minnesota off to a 3-0 start. Hasn't really played anybody, but I mean their last game was against obviously Power Five Colorado, of which they wiped off the face of the earth. I think this is going to be a very close game. I think it's 50-50. Either one of these teams can win this one. But considering what Michigan State's secondary looked like against what I think is an okay passing attack of Washington, I actually am going to give Minnesota the slight edge. I think the Gophers. I could very well see Michigan State winning too. I think this goes either way, but I'm going to go with the Gophers in a very close one. PJ Fleck gets his Gophers off to a 4-0 start.
Also, screw Michigan State. I'm 0-3 against the line and 0-3 against the spread against them, so I'm just really bad at picking Michigan State games, apparently. Anyway, we've got the Wisconsin Badgers staying in the Big Ten, going on the road to take on the number 3 Ohio State Buckeyes. Ohio State's 89% chance to win. The spread is 18. The over-under is 57. I think they very easily cover that spread. I don't think this Wisconsin team is anything special or anything that great. Against good teams, obviously 6 points against Illinois State and New Mexico State. And then when they played an actual Power 5 team at home, they lost 17-14. They could only put up 14 points. I know this Ohio State defense ain't that good, but they're good enough to limit Wisconsin, and their offense is going to be able to score over them. So I think they cover. I think they win 38-13, and I'll definitely take the Buckeyes to win.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting one. Wisconsin is an interesting team. They had that outlier at home against Washington State where they really just didn't look good. But you look at their other two games; they dominated both of their opponents, and that's really what this Wisconsin team's potential is. This is a good defensive team. I like Wisconsin's defense. Really, the question for Wisconsin is how well does Graham Mertz play? Because if Graham Mertz holds his own, Wisconsin has a good chance of pulling off this upset. I honestly think if Graham Mertz has a competent game and he creates and he makes Ohio State respect the passing game, Wisconsin will be able to gash the Ohio State defense with Braylon Allen and Chez Meluzzi. I'm telling you, if they're able to throw the football in this game and at least be competent throwing, Wisconsin's pulling this upset. Because Notre Dame was doing the exact same thing with its Ohio State team. They were able to throw, and they were able to and they were able to do what they wanted with Ohio State's defense, and were able to run the football very well. Wisconsin's specialty is running. So I like Wisconsin's chances in this one, but I don't know if Graham Mertz is actually going to be able to play well, which is why I'm taking Ohio State in a close one at home. I think it's going to be very fun, but I'm going Ohio State close here.
Until Ohio State proves me wrong, I will pick them until they prove me wrong. And fifth-ranked Clemson Tigers taking on the 21st-ranked Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Clemson has a 78% chance to win on the road. Clemson is favored by 7. Over-under is 55.5. I think Wake Forest has a chance to cover. I don't think Wake Forest really has a chance to win this game. I don't think Clemson's offense is anything special, but we saw the same thing last year. Clemson's offense was not special. But you know what they did? They are so much more physical than Wake Forest. They are so much stronger than Wake Forest. They don't even need to score. They will honestly probably just beat up Wake Forest on the front 7 and the defensive on the defensive and offensive line. Clemson is going to destroy Wake Forest in the trenches, and a lot of the time in close games like this, winning in the trenches is what matters. So give me the Clemson Tigers in this one, just solely because I think they're the more physical team.
Yeah, this is gonna be I think this will be a decent game. Wake Forest. I mean, this is a team that doesn't have a defense, and obviously it showed against Liberty. They weren't able to shut down the Liberty team. I think Wake Forest might have been looking a little bit ahead since their next game was Clemson. I think this is going to be a close one. Very fun one to see. Noon ABC game, believe it or not. So really fun one to see here. I'm giving Clemson the edge though. I think this will be a really close one. Probably Clemson wins by like 3 or 7. I think it's going to be a one possession game. This Wake Forest team is going to be able to score, but the Clemson offense is not very good, which is why I think it'll be like a 27-23 type game. I think it'll be closer, but I'll give Clemson the close one here.
Yep, exactly. And now we move on to the Southwest Classic. We've got the 10th ranked Arkansas Razorbacks against the 23rd ranked Texas A&M Aggies in Jerry's World AT&T Stadium. Texas A&M is a 57% chance to win. Texas A&M is a 2-point favorite on the spread. Okay. Texas A&M is a 2-point favorite on the spread. Mitch, who do you got in this one?
I think this is going to be another good one. 7 o'clock ESPN game. Definitely one to see. Arkansas coming off a lackluster performance against Missouri State. A&M coming off a big win at home against Miami, Florida. I think this will be a close one, but give me the Razorbacks to knock off the Aggies in a close game here. Texas A&M's offense just does not look good all season long, and Arkansas's offense has. I like the Arkansas offense. It's looked pretty good. A&M's defense, I think, will put up a fight, which is why this will be a close game. But I like Arkansas to get a close win.
Yep, same. 27-23, Arkansas wins it. And we go to our game of the week. We've got the 20th ranked Florida Gators on the road taking on in Neyland Stadium, taking on the 11th ranked Tennessee Volunteers. Tennessee is an 87.4% chance to win. The spread is 10.5. Over under 62.5. These odds makers love them some Tennessee Volunteers. I'm not. I mean, I'm decently high in Tennessee. Definitely a lot like Tennessee. I'm decently high in them. I don't think they're like world changers, like blowing teams out. But I think they're a good team. I mean, I think they probably win a good amount of their games. I do think they win this one. Anthony Richardson has not impressed me the past couple games. He still has not thrown a touchdown on the season. Tennessee's front defensive line actually looks pretty impressive. And Tennessee's offense looks pretty good. I mean, Hendon Hooker has looked pretty good. He's had his moments where it's been like, all right, what the frick are you doing? But he looked pretty good. So I think Tennessee at home will get the win against the unimpressive Florida Gators. But I think Florida could make it fun. But I think being at home really helps Tennessee.
Yeah, this is a big one for the Volunteers. College game day, of course. I mean, this is how we do game of the week, wherever college game day is, most of the time. Like last week was App State and Troy. I wasn't going to put that as game of the week. But this one, this is where college game day is heading to Knoxville. So, big, and this is big for the Volunteers. Florida Gators, definitely something to prove after another lackluster game. This is all really, I think, dependent on Anthony Richardson and how he throws the football. If he throws the ball well, I think Florida wins this game because Tennessee's defense is not going to stop this Gator team unless Anthony Richardson stops himself, which he's already done in 2 games. But I mean, this Florida team, I think, is going to run all over them. I think Trevor Etienne is going to have a great game. But I don't think the Florida Gators are necessarily going to shut down Hendon Hooker either. Not that I like Hendon Hooker, but so far no one's been able to do it. So I think this is going to be a very close one. This is going to be in the 40s. I think. I don't think either one of these teams are stopping each other. But give me Tennessee to outscore Florida in the shootout at 3:30 ABC or CBS.
Also, how excited is Florida to be done with this game? Because, I mean, you start the season against number 13 Utah, number 9 Kentucky. Then you go, and then you get South Florida, but then you get to play Tennessee on the road. So you play number 13, number 9, and on the road against number 11 to start the season. And then they finally get a break with Eastern Washington, Missouri, and LSU all coming to the Swamp the next 3 weeks. So they're just excited to be done with this. Anyway, that was College Football Week 4. Enjoy the week that we have to come. But anyway, I'm Jacob. That's Mitch. Thank y'all for watching. Peace.